Alright. Been live for 20 seconds. See who comes out. Hope everybody is doing well. I certainly am not. And, honestly, I've never actually done a stream like this. So we'll have to see how we go. But the topic of today's discussion, guys, is the fact that Lauren Southern and Stefan, I can't even say that last name, Molyneux, have been banned from speaking in Auckland, and pressure is mounting on the government to deny entry into New Zealand. So for me, the thing about this is, regardless of your political views, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I grew up understanding that New Zealand, I grew up understanding that New Zealand was a place where everybody's voice was welcome. Now, me coming out in defense of these two speakers isn't necessarily on the basis of my political alignment. In fact, it's quite the opposite. As a disabled person, as someone who's faced oppression and minimization of my voice in many aspects of society, physical aspects, choice and control, general citizenship, and autonomy over my own life, being someone that's faced that type of thing, I just want to come out here tonight, guys, and just say that, Phil Goff, the Mayor of Auckland, I honestly, shrewdly, totally think he's got this one wrong. In all my life, I can't actually remember a case where we had a mayor ban people from using venues for their discussion and entertainment. Who are these people? Background on them would be helpful to form an opinion. Okay, so my explanation is probably gonna not be so great, so I'll pop a couple of links up in here. I've been doing a bit of reading about it, and trying to get my head around what's happening. But if you wanted my opinion on what I think is happening, what you've got is a pair of conservative Canadians that have built a name for themselves around promoting free speech and admittedly conservative views on society and challenging the idea of liberal leftists. Now again, this debate has nothing, this conversation I'm having right now is nothing at all to do with me projecting a particular political alignment. This is about me feeling that every person that wants to come to New Zealand and share ideas, as long as they're not literally inciting violence, because I would consider that hate crime, as long as they weren't literally known for doing these things, then they should be allowed to come to New Zealand. From what I know of Lauren Southern and this other guy over here, although they're being represented as doing these type of things, they've never actually done that. And you know, I just want to read you some of Phil Goff's tweets from earlier today, and I'll put them on screen if I'm able. I'll just find it. I wanted to do this all live, so you knew this was all real. So if we search up Phil Goff. Okay, let me bring my screen in now. Yep, cool. So I don't know if you guys can read that. So you've got a couple of people in support of what's going on here for Phil. And, you know, things like, let me be very clear, the right to free speech does not mean the right to be provided with an Auckland Council platform for that speech. So one of the issues that I have around that comment in particular, and let me just bring it here so I can switch back to my console to read the comments. Yeah, no, I have read that article, Jackie, but actually they've been misrepresented quite a few times in the media. So all of the video footage that I've actually been doing a bit of research on, what's her name again, Lauren? I've actually been doing a bit of research on Lauren before I came on the stream, because I wanted to do that. I wanted to get clear. I wanted to make sure my opinions were valid. But you know, they're being completely misrepresented, and you know, if we are the type of country that starts developing this idea of who is good enough to be here and who isn't, that's what I'm worried about. You know, regardless of who they are, regardless of what we think they did, what's disappointing to me is that I truly feel, I did feel, and I'm feeling weird about it now, that New Zealand was supposed to be a free country. And that's what I grew up believing. And people that had opinions opposite to mine, I didn't necessarily dismiss them. You know, I was perfectly capable of thinking for myself and determining what views and opinions I wanted to have. I didn't need a authority, you know, reigning tyranny over me, telling me what I should think. You know, I thought the whole point of being free is that you could learn whatever you wanted. The whole point of being free is that you say whatever you want. without threat. Like I actually don't know how to express how I'm feeling right now, because this is everything I've worked towards my entire life. Creating freedom of expression. So if someone says something you don't like, don't go to the show then. Don't pay for the ticket. You know, if we actually think that Kiwis are so soft that they're gonna show up to a meeting and start rampaging around and killing people, then we really don't have a lot of faith in our own country. It's really got nothing to do with these speakers. I mean, how on earth did we get to a place where politicians were deciding the voices and opinions that we got to observe? Are we really such a snowflake country? I mean, so that's the thing, Jackie. So Lauren Southern hasn't actually been anti-Muslim at all. I've checked out all her videos, all her content, and none of them are anything close to being anti-Muslim. And in fact, if I refer back to one I was even watching last night, you know, she was explaining the differences between Islam and Christian. And there are quite a few differences. Just because you point out differences, it doesn't mean you're anti anything. She's wanting to bring a level of understanding because she knows that people have these whacked out crazy ideas of what it means to be Muslim and whacked out crazy ideas of what it means to be Christian. Every single piece of content I've seen from Lauren has done nothing but share the facts. You know, this isn't the usual type of content that I like to do, but I wanna stress the point that I'm only doing this because I've never seen such a intensely upsetting, you know, this whole thing about banning people from coming has, like, what makes Phil Goff any better than Trump then? You want to talk about the states, you know, Trump's the one going around banning people, and I would have thought one way that we could show that we're a step above someone like Trump is to invite different views, allow for civil discourse, and constructive conversations. The best thing we could have done as a country is allow these people to come in so we could actually hear firsthand, you know, what these people think and feel about the world. I'm just getting a private message. You know what, man? We might let you back in the chat, actually, Alpha, if I knew how to do that. Talk about awkward pause now. I don't know how to unban him. Have you ever unbanned someone, Hannah?
No, I've not, but
I think it's / allow. Nope. Unban, I think. I want to see what Alpha has to say, actually. Because I absolutely accept you know Jackie's view that we don't want people inciting hate in New Zealand. Let me be clear about that. But it appears to me that this situation is about banning conservatives. And I'm just not with that. And I don't accept the fact that Lauren, I hope I'm saying, Lauren Southern and Stefan, whatever his name is, are actually right-wing extremists. I don't accept that at all. And you know, I took a lot of time to think about this, and you know, I thought about the angle that I was going to take. This has got nothing to do with my political alignment. I've mentioned on the stream a couple of times that I was nervous about the fact that New Zealand never had anything like the First Amendment. And, you know, for all the people stateside in the stream right now, I really want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you about what I'm concerned about, because it's actually got nothing to do with politics. What is happening here is New Zealand is positioning itself to be the kind of country to ban opinions it doesn't like. And that is what I'm nervous about. You know, like I haven't shared a lot about my work. But I've dedicated a lot of my adult life to enabling people's voices and contributing to freedom, autonomy, you know, right to life, that whole thing. And you know, when I came, because the mayor of Auckland, so I live in Auckland, and I heard these two conservatives were coming to Auckland, and I was excited to maybe check out their presentation so I could, you know, really just wrap my head around the conservative narrative. Because I don't really know what it is globally. I genuinely have no sort of opinion for or against these two people. And then the mayor of Auckland bans them. Just says, nah, you can't use any council property within the city to create a space where you can like sell tickets and say what you want to say. That's the thing. I've said this once before already, but we've only been going 19 minutes. So these people were coming to say whatever they had to say. I have no idea really what they were going to say. But you didn't have to buy a ticket. You didn't have to actually go. You didn't have to actually listen. It's not like these two people were being forced upon us. It's not like every TV screen in the city was going to be inundated with these two people. You know, regardless of whether you're a liberal or you're a conservative, like this is much more fundamental than that. And that, as a disabled person living in New Zealand, basically my entire life, working for freedom of expression and autonomy for all people, and then to find that this is happening, I am just losing my mind right now. We are banning people with views that, our apparent leaders don't like. What time does Mike stream? I understand, Alpha, that Mike is a little sick right now. So, he won't be coming out for a bit. He takes a little while to heal up. And big shout out to Doxus. Thank you for being here tonight, buddy. Really appreciate your time and attention. I just want to go back to this. If you've just joined, I'm absolutely losing my mind. Auckland Council venues shouldn't be used to stir up ethnic or religious tensions. Views that divide rather than unite are repugnant, and I have made my views on this very clear. Lauren Southern and Stefan, that guy, I can't say his last name, will not be speaking at any council venues. So, the tricky bit about a statement like that is that I absolutely agree with that positioning from a leader. But my issue is that he's acting kind of stupid, because if he actually looked into the background of these people, rather than listening to all the really loud haters of these people, you'd understand that Lauren and Stefan have never actually tried to stir up ethnic or religious tensions. The only thing I've seen from these two people is a very civil discussion about the diversity that exists within different societies. That is all I've seen. So that's only the council buildings. They could have performed in a pub for the council to provide, or allow for the council to provide or allow facilities for this is like endorsing it. Well, endorsing what? Freedom of speech, difference of opinion, civil conversation. Yes, that means they would be allowing it. And if I look at the flow on Twitter, the balance is pretty even. As many people that are celebrating this ban, there's just as many people, if not more, that are really disappointed we've got to this place. And again, if I have to make the point again, I'm not a Lauren Southern fanboy or anything like that. I'm not a conservative fanboy necessarily. I haven't fully wrapped my head around what being a conservative means. Very much I grew up in a liberal democratic background. So this isn't me sort of trying to start a flame war. I'm just trying to understand, is this what we do now? We just ban opinions we don't like? We just block people that don't suit us at any given time? For me, it just comes back to that fundamental. Like, I can't stop repeating it. Like, I did not believe we were that sort of country. I don't know. Please share your opinions in the chat because honestly, I need some help. I'm looking for sharing of opinion around this. Jackie, thank you so much for chiming in tonight. I really do appreciate your feedback and your position around this. You've been around a lot longer than I have too, so you've seen the world. So thank you, yeah. So another article. So if we come back to here. So they were meant to be speaking in August at the Bruce Mason Centre. That's the first time I've actually heard about the venue. Yep. So the manager got in on it and released a statement saying it is very sad for democracy and for debate. It doesn't mean we should ban them. Okay, this is interesting. I haven't seen this before. However, human rights criminal lawyer barrister Craig Tuck said the pair should be allowed to come to New Zealand and talk about their ideas. There's a lot of their sort of talk worldwide at the moment, and that's attracting debate. People are getting educated on the issues, and that's probably a good thing. That's entirely what I'm talking about. That's entirely what I'm talking about. You don't want to live your whole life with this, like, tunneled narrative of what it means to be alive. Mr. Tuck said dangerous ideas were not the same as dangerous people. And, like, fine. But even then, you have to deconstruct, are ideas dangerous? Does presenting ideas to people mean they have to act on them? Oh my god, this is entirely the thing. It's really easy to influence people into negative thoughts, and how before you know it, we have a country that has decided or given permission for hate. I just don't know if Kiwis can be that easily influenced. I mean, look at the journey that we've already been on with the Treaty of Waitangi. Like, I just don't think Kiwis would lose their fundamental grounding. It's like, help me here, guys. I don't know. Oh, I need to switch back. What is it like? I really want to have a conversation about this. I've never been so fired up about the internet. And I grew up in the era where the Kardashians came along. But Jackie, your point illustrates my point. We're banning people now. That's entirely what Donald Trump was doing. We shouldn't be banning people. Do you know, Jade, if our ticketing agents are private or are they a CCO? This would also explain if they're not planning to use a council venue. Ticketing agents? You mean the ones that were... Why don't you just come over here? This is weird. You may as well. Wow. I don't know about that. Like, honestly, Hannah, you don't have to have an opinion about this, but maybe you can just say what you want to say, because I don't want to drag you into a flame war, definitely, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to clear up what you were asking me.
So my question was, is Bruce Mason Centre Council owned venue?
Yep, they are. This is the whole thing about it.
But the thing is, okay, the Bruce Mason Centre, they may not want to be held at a council-run venue, but they're planning to sell tickets for this. So surely they'd be fine with moving to a hotel or another venue if the council doesn't want to endorse it. And my question is, for those who don't know, is the ticketing agent privately owned? So like Ticketek and places that sell your tickets.
Oh, the ticketing agent would be private.
Yeah.
But the ticketing agent has to deal with the fact that if the venue said no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
you can't sell tickets to a venue that doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, what I was going to explain though is it private or CCO stands for council controlled organisation. And yeah, Jade has clarified it would be private, and I believe that. And of course, no one can sell tickets to somewhere that they don't have a venue, but surely a manager would be able to change venues now and actually shift. I don't have a view on actually... I've done no background checks into these guys, no understanding.
But you can confirm that I've been losing my shit for the last 2 days.
Jade has been losing his shit, yes. And I think one thing that I have really picked up and really saw and really reflected is that I thought our country, even though we don't have the First Amendment, we were a free country. You know, our thoughts, we could actually clarify, learn from each other, and actually have that chance to have discussions. You know, we're not about violence, and these people, they're conservatives, and I think the way that we are now, we need to hear the voices from
everyone,
a diverse perspective, everyone, and learn. And the thing is, it's a choice. You know, I didn't know that they were coming, so I wouldn't have gone. But it's a choice. If you're interested in that, you could go to that. And of course, if someone's paying money and they're against their views, why would they go? And I actually want to say one other thing.
Go.
Is the fact is, Jade made a really good point earlier, is that kind of a little different, but we're alright with rappers coming into our country.
Talking about bitches and robberies and murders. You know?
Guns, violence, drugs. You know, I do like rap, but, you know, we're all right with that coming into our country. And, you know, there's racism in their songs,
There's
you know.
definite racism.
And are you saying that, okay, we're going to get from their songs that's what we're going to do? And, some people who are stupid enough, they will. But this is more actually a venue that will actually...
For civil discussion.
Not
quality
a full-on
debate.
rap. Quality debate. So that's what I'm thinking. So we allow people coming into our country talking about drugs, murder, and actually, I think when you have a chance to hear different perspectives and different thoughts, minds, and understandings, especially from other countries, it also gives the chance to have a different perspective and also a chance to reflect how we can grow as a country. How can we change as our country? Our country, Aotearoa, New Zealand. How could we see the good in our country too?
So a couple of things. One is a big shout out to Carla Moon over on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And just a couple of comments from Jackie. Chinese referring to curry munchers. Maori referring to slit eyes. And it will be so easy to give people a reason to justify a higher position on the ladder. Stupid becomes dangerous. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with those comments. But two people from overseas coming over and sharing their views and opinions about the world isn't gonna, make worse or lessen whatever racism exists now.
Am I right?
It's not going to make a difference. And we can't, it sounds to me, looking on Twitter, I have to be fair, it was like a 50-50 split. There was a lot of people saying, hooray, they've been banned, and there was a lot of people saying, man, this sucks. It sounds to me like we're having a build the wall conversation.
Am I also right in saying, Jade, that they weren't coming here to talk about our country? They were coming to talk about...
globally.
Globally, the fact is, as a conservative, and not actually question our country, but talk about the world. And this would, to me, it's push perspectives, minds, and create conversation. I think we're in a place in our government, we've got a new government, and we were told that
freedom.
Some people say it's freedom, and also that it would change our country with this different government. Sorry, guys, not lots changed at all, and actually nothing's happening. So, what's wrong with a bit of conversation? It's also questioning about what we're trying to do, changing policies for people with disabilities, changing support systems, and actually giving people more of a voice. What is wrong to have more of a voice, more of a conversation? I really question that. Now, I don't even know who these guys are, but it's about conversation. It's about community. It's about actually having a chance.
Just want to say a big shout out to Manueli over on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Manueli, I think I've met Manueli actually.
Yeah.
Manueli says, great topic, just saw you were live. Thank you so much, Manueli. I don't know if you're a subscriber over on YouTube, but if you're not, we would appreciate your time and attention. Back on Twitch, have you spoken to a Christian lately or even a Muslim? I actually have friends in both religions, and I don't think he would mind me saying this, but my driver to get to and from meetings and work, he is a devout Muslim, and he's taught me a lot about the religion, and my mind has been really expanded to what being Muslim actually means.
Yes.
It's not all about jihad and whipping wives and throwing stones. There's a lot of layers to the Muslim culture.
Yes. Definitely.
And parts of it I agree with. Parts of it I'm still coming to terms with. I am indifferent to the idea of being Muslim. For me, fine. For me, if that brings you purpose, happiness, and you have an affinity to build your family, or as we say in New Zealand, whānau construct around that is absolutely fine. That is what freedom is. And I also know Christians. So Jackie just said that. Have you spoken to Christians lately? And they are also fine. And they also express the fact that, we need to be able to learn to live amongst each other. In fact, that is the thing that Muslims and Christians have in common.
Yes.
We always hear this narrative about the fact that Muslims want all infidels to die. It's not correct.
Very much so.
It's just not correct. Nowhere, as far as I understand it, nowhere even in the Quran does it say you must kill all infidels.
Yeah. From my experience, it's almost like those who are not devoted to Christianity and those who are a little unsure of themselves, of their religion, and do take a lot of messages from the media and from others. It's almost like they provoke certain meanings and people question themselves. Hate comes from this idea of unity not being possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the chat Ants Ventures.
Hi Ants, how you doing?
Wow, this is amazing. It's taken months to get Ants to come up in the chat. And so I want to introduce you to everybody. At the bare minimum, I know we've got Doxus. Doxus is a very good friend of mine. He's also a moderator for the channel. We've also got Alpha Forever somewhere in here. Say hi to Ants, everybody. Yep, Ants is the climber. Ants is the climber.
Who was that?
Doxus.
Oh, yeah, see? Ants. Doxus knows a little bit about ants. Ants the animal.
Yeah.
I've told you about him. Sam's cool.
Sam is really cool. He's been a friend of ours for a while now.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna give Ants a shout out in the chat. Full disclosure, she's not streaming here on Twitch yet, but let's all give her enough peer pressure so that she gives in and she starts streaming on Twitch. So everybody, if you could go over and give Ants a follow, that would be really amazing. She's not streaming right now, and she would argue that she doesn't even know how. But please show her all the amazing love and attention that you show myself and Hannah as well. Big ups to Ants, everybody.
Woo! So if people have just joined us, and if you don't know what we're actually talking about, baseline, what's happened is that we were going to have a couple of people come to Aotearoa, New Zealand, to actually speak in Auckland. They're conservatives. They've had a lot of negativity from media. And, you know, what we're talking about is the fact that our Mayor, Phil Goff, in Auckland is banning them from coming to speak on issues that occur globally. So that's what we're talking about. Why is it happening? I thought we were a country that could speak.
And you know, Ant can attest to this. You know, she's only known me for a short while, perhaps almost a year, not even a year. But I've shared with Ant that, you know, I've dedicated a large portion of my adult life, if not the whole thing, to enabling, you know, difference of opinion, freedom of speech, choice, autonomy, citizenship. All of these things are so important. And don't get me wrong, because I don't think I've made this point at all very clear. Where there is genuine hate speech, where someone is literally directing somebody to go out and kill a person or a race or this or that, I absolutely denounce and stand against that. My issue is we're not talking about that here with the banning of Lauren Southern and the other guy, who I can't remember. We're not talking about that at all. If you research their content, if you research the things that they say in public, they are not inciting violence at all.
And a comment I made to you earlier, actually, a lot of things that we've actually seen, people who have publicly actually talked about issues that are going around the world, such as Stephen Crowder and other conservatives.
Is he an issue or a person?
He's not an issue at all, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, he's talking about issues, yeah, okay.
He's talking about issues, he's talking about, you know, things that are going on and what's actually coming out. Yes, there may be hate, but it's not from Stephen Crowder. People are reacting in negative ways about certain issues because, one, they may disagree, and two, they may actually think he's completely wrong, but he himself has not actually said anything negative. He's actually just asking questions. Now, do I agree with him completely? That's not what I'm asking here. He's not provoking hate. Some people say, well, he is, because he's asking questions.
And like, you know, I didn't want to come on here and be the source of a flame war, right? I'll say it, second time I've said it tonight. I just want to have a chat about the kind of country that we are. Are we the kind of country that bans people? Are we the kind of country that squashes views? You know, this is a perfect example. Bruh, you are microaggressing me. Don't violate my safe space. I identify as an igloo. That's probably going a bit too far the other way. And, you know, Blues, if you wouldn't mind keeping it constructive, you know, that's really important because, I maintain that I respect the lifestyles and the autonomy of all people. And this is actually the point that I'm trying to raise. The point that I'm trying to raise is we just banned 2 people from Auckland.
And we've got choice and control to go to the actual event. It's not like they're not planning to live stream. It's not like they're planning to go on TV shows while they're here in New Zealand. But we're banning them from speaking in our country.
Okay, yeah, this is a really good comment from Ants, and I'd also like to say hi to Sky Gamer. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate your time and attention.
Thanks, Sky Gamer. Really appreciate it.
So, to come to Ants' comment, yes, we are. We've been for a long time. It was illegal to be gay until the 80s. So we have been banning people.
Yeah.
And this is my point. Ant knows. Hannah knows. Every person I interact with closely knows that I believe in the fundamental right of freedom of expression. And that goes for all people.
Yeah.
Whether you're black, white, zebra, whatever your orientation is,
whatever your gender,
however you reflect yourself, even igloos, yes, blues, if you're gonna protect the rights of people, you need to protect the rights of everyone.
And I think you're right too. Ants, you just said it right. Since the 80s, we're banning people who are gay. Now, with 2018, yes, we're slowly changing our minds and people are slowly changing their views about the LGBT community. But, 2018, we're also trying to get a big policy reform done. And I think it's 2018, guys. It shouldn't matter your race. It shouldn't matter your sexual orientation. It shouldn't matter what gender you are. We should actually be having the choice and the chance, the opportunity to be able to listen to all views. And one thing that some people may not know who are not from New Zealand, the fact is we're a little country, and to actually have the opportunity to hear from different perspectives, different speakers, it's expensive for us to fly places to get places to listen to different people. So if they're able to come here and learn, for us to learn, it's a chance for us to have the choice.
I mean, thank you, Hannah. That was actually an amazing comment. So Blues says, it all comes down to people's feelings. It's something that can't be regulated. This is problematic because there's no way of judging what is offensive or not. Common sense will prevail, I hope. There are now people who are intersexual wanting to be with their brother or sister. Where is the line? Now, the point I want to make on that comment sort of links with what Doxa says. So Doxa says, everyone has the right to be whoever they feel they are, but I still think some of it is silly. They are welcome to change my mind, however. So a couple of things within that, and it links to what Blue says. Doxus has an opinion.
Yeah.
And I welcome his opinion. And this is the reason why I put myself online like this. Because I want to hear people's opinion. I want to interact with people. So Doxus has just had an opinion. Now I have the right to agree, disagree, accept, not accept that opinion.
There's one other fact that you can do. On this platform, Twitch, one other thing I have to do is actually say, hey Doxus, that's your opinion. Can we expand that? Can we have a conversation?
Can we find common ground? When's the last time that people said, okay, I'm not sure I've heard that view before, or my mum or my dad told me I shouldn't have that opinion, but is it possible to find common ground?
Learn and understand. That's what I'm loving. So it's like, I don't have to disagree or not or agree with you, but thank you, Doxus, for having that view. And I love what you said. Change my mind. Share what you want, what's going on with me, but it's always going to be my fundamental views, and it's your choice what you take away from the conversation.
And
That's what I love.
And I mean, Blues is also right.
Yeah.
People have feelings. People have feelings, and that they have constructs of belief that develop over a long period of time through their experiences, through their DNA, their chemical makeup, just whatever. And you can't, it can't be regulated. And for Blues, he or she, we don't know yet, expresses that can be problematic. That's an opinion. And I like opinions.
Yes.
Like he made a comment. Oh, look, I mean, this is it. So let's go. Doctor says, someone said something I took offensive during a stream a few days ago. I've thought about it every day since. It still bothers me, but I don't feel it is my right to say anything about it. It was not said with malice, so I should be learning not to take offense rather than telling him he can't say the thing that offended me. Yeah. Moving on to Ant. Ant says, we need to look for commonalities. We all have something in common. We need to have conversations. We are all different.
Thank you.
And Blue says, bearing in mind I appreciate all opinions, Blue says, well, this is a gateway issue. It extends a branch to other issues until it becomes acceptable. We cannot keep diluting these issues. There is even talk with pedophiles. And if their child consents, that is not the issue. What the hell? That's why I'm mad. Because once something becomes normal, they jump into the next thing we find unusual and if not absolutely wrong. So what I think Blues is talking about is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that speaks to a perception on core values and the fundamental constructs of what you believe to be important. So Blues has his or her opinion on what things are important, and he feels that we should not dilute some issues.
Oh, definitely, I agree with you. And sorry, Blues, I don't think we've talked before, but Ants, I know that you're from New Zealand, and Jade, you're from New Zealand, of course.
I sure am from New Zealand.
And the thing is, we're now 2018. I know, Ants, for you, how has it been actually getting people to change their mind and actually understand and have conversations about the LGBT community. The reason why I raise that like that is because I don't have a lot of understanding, but I know that a lot of conversation wasn't had and a lot of people were then restricted. So really, we're not even saying this is allowing these people into our country, is actually saying, right, we're going to change this will mean policy reform. This is actually meaning a debate and conversation will happen, just like we're having here. Learning each other's views, having a conversation, starting to actually learn, opening our minds to maybe possibly more. It may come of nothing for New Zealand, may come of something else. It may affect somebody in a complete different way. The conversation may be about one topic, somebody may take away and might just find it a motivator and might then grow in their work. Nothing to do with the conversation. It might be just a bit of entertainment.
So I just want to come to YouTube. Sorry, Hannah, I was a bit sidetracked in that last statement you made. Menueli says over on YouTube, while I think what is happening in the northern atmosphere, I think he means hemisphere, is going to trickle down to New Zealand. Big call, but this may be the start of the road to censorship in New Zealand. And I guess Manueli, this is why I came online today. To be honest, I've always stayed fairly neutral. I've always sat on the fence with a lot of issues within our country because, you know, I wanted to play that Switzerland role as far as being that guy online. But I think I'm even more playing the Switzerland role by bringing highlight to this. I think if we don't bring highlight to this, if we don't have a conversation about this, if we don't raise the question of whether, you know, banning alternative ideas and, you know, healthy debate, if we don't discuss the idea of banning that, then, you know, we're not the free country that I thought we were. I almost got lost in my sentence there, but...
Yeah. And just reflecting on something that you said, Blues, I'm completely against...
Just quickly, Blues43, thank you so much for the follow.
Thanks so much, Blues. So, I actually really agree with you. We don't want it to be seen as pedophiles becoming the norm and children, if they give consent. Completely disagree with that. Completely against it. But what I was going to say is actually, if we have a chance to be able to have this conversation, not just the judges, the lawmakers, the social workers, and child, youth and family, having those conversations about it, them seeing it as the norm, us little people in the community actually speaking out and actually saying, no, it's not right. That is what we're saying. I think we don't want that to happen, and that is what's happened in our government too. That the people in the government have had the chance to speak and change the norms and change what is actually right and wrong. We want to, as a country, be able to have a voice.
Lucas, thank you so much for the follow, and kia ora, welcome to the channel. Lucas is from New Zealand. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Whereabouts are you from? Whereabouts in New Zealand?
Yeah, so Lucas is new to the channel, and Lucas, did I say thank you for the follow?
Yes, yes you did.
I might be losing my mind. Yep, okay, cool.
So we're from Auckland, if you didn't know.
I just want to backtrack because we've lost grip on a couple of comments. So Jackie said a while ago, actually doctors, wow, motorbike. You should tell the person the comment offended Otherwise, they will keep offending. Then Doxa says, it's more of an issue of my feelings for a particular word than it was actually said. I took the opportunity to grow rather than shut out someone else's voice. Yes! That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Too often we hear it. I see out in the public, out in the media, out on Twitter, as soon as someone hears an opinion they don't like, they shut it down.
Yes.
It starts this whole flame war. How many people every single day, every single week, have an opinion that's different to mine? Hundreds. How many people have said they don't like something I've said? Any given week, any given day, whatever. Hundreds.
And I think people just say in New Zealand comment that it's probably also said to, and hundreds of people would also say, yeah, right. Yeah, right. That's not going to work. Yeah, right.
So coming back to Ants, Ants says, well, I haven't had this shit beaten out of me for in over 10 years. Some of my friends have not been so lucky. Well, you know, it's real. You
That's
need
very real.
You need to live for your truth.
Yeah.
You need to live for your truth.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I have the right to be offended. This is Doxus. Sorry, Hannah.
Thank you.
What I'm saying is, I have the right to be offended, but I'd rather be offended and allow people to speak freely than the opposite to be true. And then Ant says, yeah, nah. So I'd appreciate a follow-up comment on that, Ant, just so I can understand what you're saying. Perhaps one day there will be something I want to say that will offend someone. At that time, I will be happy I still have that right. True Campol, welcome to the chat.
Hey, how you doing?
He's not being very respectful for his first comment, but we'll hear him out. He's like, what did you say?
What did he say?
No, what did you say? Because Ant said it was a response to the year right.
Oh, I just said, I bet that she gets, you and Ants must get people saying, yeah, right, that policy is not going to come through, it's not going to work, it's not going to happen. Yeah, right.
Okay, so we're banning this guy. Cool. And I mean, you know that within itself, what I just did there, is a form of censorship. But that guy was clearly being inappropriate. It was towards you, by the way.
What was he saying?
It was a sexual thing.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not about that here.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate anyone making comments about me, and a big thing that I actually want anybody to know is actually that I'm a person. I'm not just the object. So if you're going to comment on me, actually talk to me.
And we don't play around either.
That's not why I'm here to have that. I'm not here to have people say those things to me. We're not playing around. You know, we want to have true, good conversations with people. Oh my God, Doxus, I said it. I said the C word. What are we going to do?
Doxus is being cheeky, so he says, Hannah, you have a lovely set of ideas on you. Hubba. Ant says, I get told all the time I won't be able to do stuff. I tend to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Totally right. A big shout out to everybody watching over on YouTube. We can see your comments, so please get down in the chat section there on YouTube. Let us know what you think about this conversation and join in. We want this conversation to be accessible as possible.
So guys, just give you a quick download for you guys who don't know, is Doxus called me out a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to let you know that actually what happened is he called me out because he said, Hannah, you know you've said that you enjoy having conversations with us about 10 times. And I had no idea that I kept on repeating it. I just kept on saying, I love having conversations with you. I really enjoy having conversations with you. So that's why I was just joking so much and saying that I said the C word.
Look. So particularly for the people from New Zealand, you know, everybody actually, but more so the people from New Zealand. Where are we now? Are we really a country that bans people with opinions that may not exactly align with our own? Like really? Like, where are we? I wanna find a good place to sort of wrap things up with this, because I don't want to rant. I just wanted to come here and have some constructive conversation about this, because I really didn't know. Because I don't know. I'm just a guy.
It's not even about who they are, you know. Jade's been able to prove that actually what is said in the media is actually factually incorrect. No, we're not even saying that we were planning to go to them, and we're not even saying that we're sad that we're going to be missing out on them. But the fact
we're not fans. We're not fanboys.
The restriction for people for the chance to listen, learn, and it could have been for any given reason, but they would have had to pay to go, so it's a choice. So I think the restriction of that, why are they being restricted? We should actually be learning as a country. A lot of negative conversation and comments are going around right now, but how do we grow as a country? And I mentioned our government earlier, and I mentioned, you know, we allow rappers talking about drugs, rape, and I think we've got a lot. And I think conversations. I love learning from you guys. You know, Doxus, you're in Washington. We get to learn from a lot of our regulars are from Australia, Washington, New York, London. I just love actually learning about cultures and actually the dynamics of different countries, growing my mind.
So we've got some really cool comments. Doxer said Trump won because he lied and lied and lied and continues to do so while in office. Thank you for that comment, Doxer. Ant says, considering our country was founded on stamping on people's rights, then I think we're making improvements. Interesting. I sort of feel like we're slightly backpedaling. I don't know how to say this name. Mutu Blind Socially, we are at the point where there is some things we cannot criticize in New Zealand without people pulling the racism or sexism cards. Blues43, Blues from earlier, says Paul Henry for Prime Minister.
Interesting, that's cool.
I would vote for Paul Henry.
Yeah.
I actually would. I've been a big Paul Henry fan for a while. Has he gone out of line from time to time? Yes. Does everything he say align with my values? No. But Paul Henry is bloody interesting.
Interesting, actually pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing like Trump, but actually provoking and actually questioning the other people in government, questioning our community too. I know he was on TV, but yeah, we need actually more of our community actually in our government, actually participating and actually, I agree, Ant, we have been working towards the rights of individuals, but really just banning people, I really feel like we're backpedaling. I'm really questioning what's happening. I thought, excuse my stumbling of words, I thought we were actually growing, and then just banning people, I'm disappointed.
Manueli over on YouTube says, your earlier statement about citing violence and what you did to that guy is legit. I don't actually remember when that was. Can you let me know when that was, Manueli? What I did to what guy? So Muta Blind says, you can't say we have too many immigrants from such and such country. Blue says, Doxus, yes, I agree. I'm not a fan of him. However, the main reason why he won was because he resonated with the population of America who was sick of the PC culture that is going on. Muta Blind says, as that implies you are racist rather than perhaps you are sick of seeing people homeless due to rampant immigration. Doxa says PC is good, but like anything, moderation. Doxa says we have definitely gone too far. Hux2K, thank you so much for the follow.
Thanks, Hux.
It's been a busy night tonight, so we're not catching all the notifications. Welcome to the Farafamilia. Ant says we need to be active citizens rather than just leaving it to the politicians. That is exactly why we're doing the show we are tonight. I want to gather opinion. I want to gather thoughts. I want people to mold and shape my opinion by bringing me their ideas. I don't want to be this guy with cabin fever just mulling over my own thoughts. I want to be inspired. I want to be influenced.
Yeah.
And I want new ideas every single day. You think Stock's, I so agree, and to stock his government with all his billionaire cronies makes him particularly scary. Doctor says, I would elaborate on the PC debate, but some of the words required to have the discussion would be offensive to some. Doxus, you are welcome to say whatever you want to say. This is my platform. We do ban here on my channel, but I only ban on the basis that things are clearly offensive
Mm.
and where they objectify other people.
Objectify? No, thank you.
Yeah. I think that's the only time that we've ever banned. We try to be very liberal with the ban.
Yeah. We don't like banning people, and we really appreciate you, Doctors' mod, for actually helping us out there.
Oh, okay, here we go. So Doxus is asking whether he can get on Discord.
Yes, please.
That guy is Sam. Thank you so much for the subscription. That is crazy. I'm not sure we've seen you before.
What's his name?
That guy is Sam. Is that Sam? is that Sam again?
The reason why we're laughing, that guy is Sam, because I don't know, but Doc's name is Sam, so that guy is Sam. Thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it.
And it was a Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you so much. Remember, you can subscribe to our channel here for free by linking your Amazon Prime subscription to Twitch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Doxus is wondering whether he can get on Discord with us.
Is that possible?
Yeah, do you think? Doxus also gifted a tier 1 sub to Jackie Free. Jackie, congratulations on the sub. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Doxus. Thank you. This is crazy. 2 subs. Can you please unban my mate Hux2K? Hux came in pretty strong, I must say. That guy, so you know, you and him will need to have a conversation about disrespecting my friend. Yeah, well, that's just not gonna fly, and maybe for tonight we'll just leave it, but just to say, I appreciate your sub, and Sam, he's already in the channel, so we're gonna open it up. Sam, can you hear us?
Sure, I sure can.
Good evening to you. How are things?
Oh man, things are good. There's an interesting conversation going on Twitch in your channel tonight.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it actually, and I feel much better for the exchange of ideas.
I was kind of spacing out when I first came in, and then it took me a bit to understand what you were talking about, because you had started explaining it before I came in, and then I understood.
Yeah, it's just, we're talking about banning people. So Ant says hi to you. She can hear you, and she's excited about that.
Hello, Ants. It's wonderful to make your acquaintance.
That's awesome. Is there something in particular you want to run by us, Doxus?
Well, I wanted to elaborate on the PC thing.
Yes, please.
Going too far with, but I'm gonna try and do it in a for lack of a better term, in a PC way. So rather than using the actual words, I'm gonna use metaphor to explain my point of view on it.
So go ahead. We're right here with you.
If we decide that calling someone let's say a specific gender or race or a particular group of people turtles, we call them turtles as a slur, right? I mean, there's many slurs. I'm just saying we'll call a group of people turtles. It becomes the slur that we use for these group of people, and then people eventually take offense to this term, calling this group of people turtles. Eventually, people will go, well, you shouldn't say turtles. That's rude. It's offensive. And so what happens is they come up with a new term for those people. It becomes something else. Now they call them crocodiles, right? And once you call them crocodiles and the turtles word is bad, well, crocodiles becomes the thing that people say to be offensive. They go, oh, those fucking crocodiles. Excuse my language. So it's like you can't ever get away from it. uh, whatever derogatory term is used for a group of people, if you ban it, you're giving power to that word, which is silly. So banning a word is silly. It's you should ban the intent or the idea behind it, because that's what's dangerous. Uh, and it's usually when it's hateful, when it's meant with hate. For many years, and I'm going to say a potentially offensive word, the word gay meant happy. Then it became something that was associated with a particular group of people, and it became offensive. And to this day, it's still offensive to some and not to others, but it's all silly because it's really just a changing of the word's meaning. But really, the original word meant happy. Exactly. I mean, there's still many songs, from a time, a golden age, some would say, where, I mean, there's songs where they use the word and they mean it to be happy. So banning a word because people use it in an inappropriate manner isn't going to get us anywhere as a society in New Zealand, in the United States, in the entire world, because it doesn't stop the hate from occurring. The hate's going to occur regardless of what words we're allowed to say or not.
What we're talking about here thank you for that. But what do you think of the banning of ideas or the exchange of ideas? The banning of an exchange, the banning of a debate. It's almost worse than banning a word, isn't it?
I don't know all of the details of the debate, but from what I gathered, the people who were going to speak, or very well may still speak, just not at a council building or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as they're not trying to incite hateful or violence against anyone, there's no reason to there's no reason to ban it.
Exactly.
If it's taking place, if in New Zealand council building means it's associated with the government, which I don't know if that's exactly correct.
So two things are happening here, and I probably didn't explain this in detail. One is our mayor definitely has banned them from using public event centres, and the second thing is people are lobbying the government to prevent them entirely from entering New Zealand. So I get Jackie's thing about, just go somewhere else. And if it comes to that, it comes to that. But they can't necessarily go somewhere else if they're banned from the country entirely.
Okay, I understand the situation better. And I think I basically agree with you 100%. That banning them from the country or from speaking in public spaces isn't going to solve any kind of problem. Because if whatever their point of view is, if they want to talk about it, it's going to be heard. Whether it's on the internet, whether it's, you do definitely reach a slippery slope where you become, a very controlling nation,
Fascist.
Certainly, that could be the word we use for it. But, I mean, I would much rather allow them to speak so I could understand their point of view, so that I could understand how, what to say, so that I could argue against the points that they were making. Silencing them doesn't do anything good. I mean, what happens when you tell, a teenager, don't smoke pot? They go and smoke pot.
Yeah. Manueli raises a really good point. This is over on YouTube. I don't know if you heard, but we dual stream now.
I watch it on both sometimes.
Okay. Your earlier statement about no, that wasn't it. It's about global culture maybe in New Zealand not wanting to be singled out. These speakers are not accepted anywhere. And then he references the guy we just banned on Twitch. So is banning on Twitch the same as banning speakers from coming to a country? Just want to get your opinion on that.
And can I just say something before you answer to Doctus? The reason why he was banned was actually because he was making derogatory statements about me, and actually wasn't making a comment about
An
idea or a conversation or anything anyone else had said, but actually was pointing out something about me. Not actually any of my ideas either. So.
I mean, there's no question in my mind. Yes, ban him. Whoever said it was deserved to be banned. If you come in and the first thing you say is something derogatory or rude or whatever, I mean, it's obvious that you're not interested in any kind of like actual discourse. You're just there to be a nuisance.
Yeah, right.
If you want to actually have some kind of, even if it's an unpopular opinion, you want to share it.
Yeah.
You should feel free to do so. But if that unpopular opinion is just like, oh, I think you guys should, go jump off bridges because you're fucking from New Zealand or whatever, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There's no argument against that. I can't go, well, no, like, what am I supposed to argue? There's nothing to argue. It's just stupidity.
Yeah, so, like, I thank Manueli for bringing that issue to light. And also, I just want to go back to the first thing he said about, is it about New Zealand not wanting to seem unpopular globally because these people seem to be getting banned everywhere else? Is this just about our leaders playing nicely with our neighbours? And that, to me, would be unfortunate. I would hope that we would be willing to take the, shall I say, Switzerland-esque position and do whatever we like, because we have beliefs and values. We shouldn't just do it because our neighbours did it.
Yeah.
I feel really bad not being able to say where this quote is from, and I can't remember the exact quote. But essentially, the idea or the quote is something to the effect of, if your ideas or your society is so weak that one or two speakers can create huge tumultuous problems, then your society is weak.
That's it. That's the energy and the mindset that I came on the stream with tonight. That is entirely it.
I'm so happy to find that you believe that New Zealand is strong enough as a country to go, hey, you're welcome to come here and say whatever you wish, but we're strong enough to ignore what you have to say if we don't agree with it.
Exactly.
Which is, I wish how it was here in the United States.
I guess what I'm also thinking is, is it making me question if our country is strong enough? Now, I know we are, but, it's starting to ban people. I believe we're strong enough to actually have a choice, have your rights to actually decide if you agree, if you disagree, and actually what you do with that information, whether you turn it into something which we love, positive, and maybe do something with the information that you've learned and actually take it into your business, into your home life, your learnings from that, or if you actually take it literally. Can't get my words out tonight.
So Keith is a latecomer, and
hey Keith,
and he says, we didn't ban them. We banned them from using public facilities as a platform. That is true, Keith, but I've since learned that there is a lobby to ban them from entering the country entirely. So if it was just about the use of council buildings, I would agree with you and say they should just go somewhere else. There is a separate lobby now seeking to ban them, seeking to have them not even have visitor status to our country, effectively stopping them from entering. Keith also says, your society is strong when it stands up and says you're fucking nuts. Again, that's my opinion, though. You know, we said they could come here. And Mutu Blind says the other issue around some of these people is we need to put public resources, our tax money, into keeping the peace if their views are largely and wildly unpopular. Jackie says we are only 4 million people, or so easy to turn a few minds. On that point, I really disagree. I like to think that Kiwis have a sense of freedom and autonomy, but it is my right to disagree, and I'd love to know what everybody else thinks.
What number was it? 1 or 2 million did Judge Beasley say was the percentage of children in New Zealand?
Not Judge Beasley. You're getting two people wrong. Judge Beecroft.
Judge.
Yeah,
Beecroft.
he announced that there were 1.1 million young people under the age of 18.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Jackie, is actually 3.9 million. We'll say 3.4 million. Say if we roll out people under the age of 18 who legally do not have a right to vote, and people who do not vote, which we found out was about 1 million. So really we just say 2 million people who have a view. How many people are actually going to do something and actually change their thoughts and minds from actually having people come and have a debate with us?
I just don't think two people holding an event, even if they went on tour, even if they went top to bottom New Zealand, visited every major city and had the same debate, I just don't think it would result in riots and people stomping in the streets. It just wouldn't happen. Like all they want to do is have a conversation about the global society. What are your thoughts on cannabis? This is from Bob. Bob, I believe there is tremendous value in cannabis as far as supporting people with their health issues. And you know, I personally don't believe it's harmful to anyone. That's what I'd say on that. Hannah?
I think Sam's best to answer this first, because I don't have a good understanding of this. But what I was going to say was actually, I really think that it can be really positive for individuals' health. Many different health needs or conditions, whether it's pain relief, whether it's just support, relaxation, muscles. I think it can really make a big difference. And no, I don't actually see that there's a big negativity on cannabis at all. But it's the question on actually when do we make it right?
I do think it should continue to be restricted for younger people.
Yes, that's...
For those young people where their brains haven't fully formed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just really clear about that idea.
Yeah. That's how I was feeling, but then it gets sticky because we heard of one case. I think were you saying, Sam, on someone else's, with someone else that there was a young kid who had tried every epilepsy medication possible, and he told his school counsellor, I think this could have been Alan might have said this, and he was then taken away from his parents. Cannabis was actually controlling his seizures, but yeah.
It wasn't me, but I know what you're referring to is that the child was being given like CBD oils for his epilepsy, and it was the first thing that ever worked to actually control his epilepsy. And he, told it he was talking to his school counselor about it, and and he thinks in confidence. And then the school counselor,
yeah, it's not.
Apparently had a grudge with the family as a whole, and so got them in trouble for it, and the kid got taken away from his parents. I know where I live, school counselors are legally obligated to do something like that. If they believe, especially if it's anything drug related, like they have to report it or they can get in trouble. So I don't know if that was the case, but I remember when it was brought up and they said that wasn't the case. It was purely that this particular counselor had like a beef with the family. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I do have an answer to the question.
Yeah.
On whether, I don't think cannabis is it's certainly not 100% wholesome. It's not, it's not like fruits and vegetables, right?
Definitely not.
But I think it's far less harmless legalized than illegal, because if it's illegal, then you have crime rings and drug sellers and this whole culture that grows up around this substance, just like there are for every illegal substance, that live in the fringes of society and can cause trouble for everyone else. I mean, the war on drugs here in America is, fought and lost miserably, and it cost way more money to fund this war on drugs, marijuana included. And since we've legalized it in several states, mine included, the only thing it does has in the states that it's been legalized is fund the heck out of our education systems. The country or the states where that first legalized it, Washington State and Colorado, literally billions more dollars in their funds for education.
Wow.
Which I'm all for. Like, if adults want to smoke marijuana so we can fund more education for our children, smoke up.
I know this is why we came on stream to talk about that.
Big statement there, big statement.
But a random question, Sam, and you may not know this at all. Do you know or have you heard, is marijuana a lot more pure in the states that it's legalized?
Did you say pure?
Yeah.
Yeah, like not laced or cut up, like.
Yes, but it's a problem. It's a negative and a positive. And I'll actually, because Keith Nicholas said, is it ethical to fund education with drug addicts? Well, I don't really know if that's the case. Here's the thing, though. Do I know that people are going to smoke marijuana whether it's legal or not? I do, because they were before it became legal.
Yeah.
So do we figure out a way for it to benefit society?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not, exactly. And I was thinking, for those people who, in our country especially, are still just planning to do it, it's often more than not laced with other things that then would more likely
kerosene, petrol, the whole deal,
affect you more than actually.
I was gonna get on, if you don't mind me interrupting you again. Sorry.
No, go for it, please.
So the problem with marijuana, at least here in Washington, and I can speak as a former marijuana smoker, and I literally have family in the business of growing marijuana. I have like immediate relatives that have large grower operations that supply to many of the marijuana shops in Eastern Washington. The problem is two things. One, the marijuana is definitely pure in the sense that it is free from non-marijuana ingredients. It isn't necessarily pure, free from pesticides. I mean, there is a thing such as organic marijuana. You can call that beyond me how you want. But two, there's a really big issue that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is marijuana is so much stronger now than it was 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 50 years ago.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, if you go to a marijuana shop, I've never actually been in one, but I know a lot of people that have here in the state.
Yeah.
That when you go in, if you want to buy like an edible, you can buy an edible, like you can buy like a dozen cookies, and these are cookies the size of like a U.S. quarter. I don't know if you know how big that is. It's not very large.
Yeah, kind of good idea. Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it the size of a cookie.
No, that's
but
not
they
a
are
cookie.
shaped as cookies and sold as cookies, and they're marijuana edibles. The suggested serving size is half of a cookie. That's because the marijuana is so ridiculously strong.
Wow.
This isn't the marijuana that they were fighting against for silly reasons in the 60s.
Yeah.
This is marijuana that has been purified, cultivated, and improved upon so many iterations of it that it is so many magnitudes stronger than what our generation before me or the generation before that smoked.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you have especially kids, trying marijuana for their first time nowadays, like the stuff they're going to be trying probably is going to be purchased legally and then being used illegally by a minor. That stuff is going to be way stronger than anything that they smoked in the 60s. Just ridiculously stronger.
Yeah.
Yep, so we got a few comments over on Twitch. Jackie says, people who seriously want it for medicinal, I think she's trying to say medicinal use, will be growing their own for particular needs. So basically Jackie's saying it's happening anyway, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
I have a friend who has almost cured her husband's cancer. That was everywhere.
Cool. Was that from Jackie?
Yeah, that was from Jackie, yeah. We got a few other comments. I want to go back to Mutor Blind. He had a couple of things to say. Trying to go back. He was saying that we spend $4 million, $1 billion actually, in a country of 4 million on the war on drugs. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Rather than having them smoke that, they get scammed into buying synthetic weed that could kill them. $1 billion, said Muta Blind.
Yeah.
It's really hypocritical, though, of the whole system. In most countries, there's many countries where it's illegal, marijuana.
Yeah.
And in those same countries, like, there are opiate-based painkillers that are totally legal.
Yep.
And those opiate painkillers have been found and studied to be more destructive, more not only destructive, but more addictive than marijuana. I mean, alcohol is more addictive than marijuana.
Morphine, you can get a dime a dozen. and you can walk around with it in your bag.
Yeah.
Like people.
That's,
Yeah,
I think it was. Go ahead.
That's all I wanted to say on that, really. Morphine. Don't you have a prescription for anesthesia, like medicine that's used in conjunction with anesthetic?
Yes. To explain that I do, I have this medication if I've had tonic-clonic seizures. I either have like constant seizures or I take it if I've had a big seizure. The reason why I do this is, one, to stop me having like clusters of seizures. Otherwise I'll just continuously have seizures and end up hurting myself and others, which I have done. And also, after myself having a tonic-clonic, if I do not get a proper sleep, after a big seizure, I can then fall asleep, but I will then still feel like I'm about to have another seizure, so I will not actually go into a deep sleep. So it's a way for me to actually sleep and actually calm. Yeah.
So, Mutu Blind says, perhaps spending that on police to arrest violent offenders or build schools. He's talking about the apparent $1 billion spent on the war on pot, apparently. It's not even for drugs, just pot, he believes. I'd love to see a reference for that number, because I don't believe I've heard that. To arrest violent offenders or build schools or hospitals would be more beneficial. No arguments from me on that. Doctor says come to Washington State and buy it at any shop.
Yeah.
Bud, I don't know if that was a pun.
No, I was just saying, buddy. Like, someone was like, "Hey, hook me up with that Manarana." I'm like, well, just come to Washington. You could buy it anywhere. Like,
yeah.
I actually like. If anyone wants to go into my channel, there's a stream that I did I want to say a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, where literally the last half an hour is me talking with a friend who was talking about opening a pot shop. Literally a half an hour of me talking on the phone about the legalities and of opening up a marijuana shop.
We're just gonna give you a shout out, Doxus, so people know where to find you.
I don't need it. If they really want it, they can find
it. What? Unknown Twitch? What happened?
Oh, Nightbot doesn't even know I exist. I am a phantom.
I think I did it wrong. Hold on.
I am your greatest fear and your biggest dream.
That sounds like Phantom of the Opera or something.
Bum, 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 bum.
There we go. I just did it wrong. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
You can do no wrong in my ass. No worries.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank you, Sam. Really appreciate that.
So there's a discussion about how much money is being spent against the war on drugs. The amount of money is really not important. If it's anything higher than $100, it's still a waste of money, because if you legalize it and tax it, my state and Colorado and any other state that's legalized it in the United States can show proof that legalizing it and taxing it has a huge societal benefit, because we get a bunch of money from it. It's going to be used anyway regardless, and that money gets to go to good social programs like education, healthcare, whatever.
Whoa, so I just need to interrupt right now. Ants is leaving. Good night, Ants.
Night, Ants.
Thank you for coming by. I believe this was your first time joining a Twitch stream.
Thanks, Ants. Great to
so
see you out here.
Much love to Ants. Thank you for coming out. And just before we go back to Sam, Muta Blind has managed to get some references. Treasury documents dating back to 2013 showed taxing cannabis could result in $150 million a year in tax revenue. On top of that, there's potentially $400 million a year to be saved on enforcement of drug prohibition. That doesn't include all of the costs. Yeah, we don't disagree, but where's the $1 billion? I definitely don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I think also too a lot of crime would go down because a lot of it's about how they get the pot and
I just the thing I'm such a I don't even know the word. Maybe Sam can help me later, but I don't really care what anybody else does. As long as you're not impacting me and my family and our ability to live the lives that we want, do you, man? I actually believe if people want to be addicts and they want to spend their whole lives doing that thing, whatever drug it is, I don't actually care. It's too much energy to focus on what somebody else is doing.
100% agreed. I would even go so far, and this is my personal opinion, my personal position on illegal drugs. If you legalized all of them, sold them at dispensaries, taxed them, and used the tax money to fund programs to so if people wanted to enter programs for rehab or to break their addictions, that would be a huge benefit to society as a whole, because for the large majority of people that are using drugs, they're generally low income, they're generally in a state of depression to a certain extent. We're trying to disassociate from the society or the world as a whole, because their lot in life is not ideal. If we're able to fund that and give them an outlet, then we'll have less users overall and can be, solving the problem of the addiction and the drug use, and maybe in 100 years, that a percentage of people using those, really terrible legal drugs will drop to record lows.
Yeah. And I also think too, sometimes it's also been, especially for those low income people that in that state, if they know something's illegal, if they know it's something that you can't do, if you're not supposed to do it, it's that little bit of heaven to them, because they think, oh, I can't do it, but I'll do it. It's a lot of money, but I'll just do it. So if it was legalized, what would be the fun in it? There'd be less fun in it, I should be saying.
Keith Nicholas brings up yet another really, really good point. He said alcohol is the classic case which shows legalized and taxed drugs cause massive, massive problems in society.
Interesting.
I won't disagree with that point at all.
Yeah. No.
However, I will say as a counterpoint, there were huge problems with crime during Prohibition because of Prohibition.
Yeah. You know about the whole Prohibition story, eh? How it basically gave rise to the American Italian Mafia?
Yeah.
Or the Italian American Mafia?
Not just the Italian Mafia, but like many crime groups, mafias, and legal, what is it?
They were cutting it with all sorts. I mean, they were cutting it with cow piss. They were cutting it with kerosene.
Yeah.
I mean, people would do just about anything to get hold of alcohol. And then there was another level of people that that would go to even more extent to get real alcohol, because people started to gather that some of it wasn't entirely the real deal, because people were dying from drinking it.
Yeah.
So then it became like this elitist thing to have access to alcohol.
Yeah.
And the mafias were loving it. I don't understand every single... We need to go back to the chat. Where are we?
Read what Penguin says.
I think alcohol is a great point that shows that vice and escapism are an issue, regardless of how the government intervenes. I can't argue with that.
No, definitely
I
can't.
have totally a lot to say on that if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
I always feel like I'm taking over your stream whenever I get on and talk.
That's okay. I mean, this is the thing, Sam. We're sharing ideas and expressing opinions. And
We're having conversations.
We're having conversations, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, so this is exactly the same thing that I said. I want to say it was like nearly a month ago when we were talking about all of the shooting in America, all the shootings in America, where I said the shootings are a symptom of a larger problem. It's a mental health issue, not a gun rights issue.
Yeah.
I believe that drug use is very much a symptom, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, or other drugs, illegal or legal. It's a symptom of a larger issue that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
I'm not 100% certain what that issue is.
Yeah.
But I know it's there, and we should be figuring out what it is and solving that rather than just dealing with the symptom. Because as we know, when dealing with diseases, treating symptoms gets us nowhere. We have to cure the disease.
But is escapism an issue though? Like, if you were a billionaire and you had everything you could possibly want, you would still find want in something that you didn't have. You know what I mean? That's what escapism is. Regardless of your position in society, it's human nature to want the flip side of what you have.
Grass is always greener.
Pardon?
Grass is always greener.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Do you get it?
Yeah, I agree.
So is escapism within itself a social issue? I agree that a lot of the issues that exist in society today are symptoms of more systemic issues. But, yeah, escapism, I don't know if we'll ever solve that. Because it fundamentally means that you want something different than what you've got.
I would love you to elaborate on that thing.
I don't necessarily know how to, because I mean it at that fundamental level. Like, when I hear escapism, it's like, I want what somebody else has, and that's always going to be the case. I think I want to be a billionaire. Then I become a billionaire, and then I say, oh, my family life is all fucked up. I want a 9-to-5 job, a wife, and some kids. And then you can have that, and you can be like, oh, I want to be a billionaire. You know, it's this thing. No one's ever entirely happy, right? Isn't that why Abraham Lincoln referred to the pursuit of happiness? It was him, wasn't it? Or was it George Washington? Ah, no. The fact machine broke in my head.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'd have to Google it. So I'm not going to pretend I know while looking it up. I think Penguin has a good point. I don't really know what Penguin was directing comment, I believe, at me. If he knows that my name is Sam, that there's a large. He said, that I'm taking a rhetorical path, saying there's a large issue that we should address, and it's a non-statement, which I stated the fuck out of his words, and you can't argue against it. And it's this high ground. I suppose that may be the case. I'm not trying to put myself there. I mean, I guess it is a rhetorical statement. It's just my belief. But because it's a belief, you certainly should be able to argue against it if you don't believe it's correct. So in that way, it's not a rhetorical statement.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't fully understand where Penguin's coming from, actually.
I would really like to know, because I don't necessarily feel the need to defend my opinion, but if I'm wrong, I would like to be enlightened.
What did he say exactly?
He said a couple of things. Neither you nor anyone else is capable of even defining the issue, so you are always able to retreat to high ground and point at any action taken as wrong. That was the comment where I started to get lost.
I don't think every action is wrong, and I don't think it is completely undefinable, because I do think it is a mental health issue. I mean, it's not. It shouldn't be news to anyone here in the United States, certainly, that we have a large issue with mental health, whether it be depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, those sorts of things, and it's a huge problem. So, I mean, that's fact, and I'm just drawing a conclusion from that fact to another fact, and maybe that conclusion is incorrect. Part of the human. Keith Nichols says mental health is never going away. It's part of the human condition. Well, I will agree with that, but there are many countries where people are far happier. I mean, there's literally an index that measures how happy people are, and the United States is way low on that.
I guess you could also say what I'm thinking of, the drug that I'm thinking of is alcohol. Alcohol that I'm thinking of in our country, yes, we've got anxiety, yes, we've got all those issues, but it's almost like, what's gone out of my head? Like a learned behavior, you could say. Growing up, you are seen to see that alcohol is good. It's, it's good, it's supported, there's no problems from your family as such. Maybe they've got stress issues, and then you see growing up as a teenager, positive sides of alcohol, seeing it as a cool thing and not actually seeing a quality alcohol, not actually seeing quality of good alcohol, and then can easily end up in a cycle of abusing alcohol. So I think that could change, definitely, if it was not actually viewed that way. I know everybody doesn't see that, but that is a big part of binge drinking, is part of and what is some people seen as culture. Binge drinking is a culture, so I think that could definitely change.
Is it a culture or is it a behavior? Because you just spoke about learned behaviors before, isn't that what it is?
Yeah, it's more of a behavior, but the term is being used.
It's, yeah, Yeah, it has been framed by the media as a culture.
But I think it's behavior.
Both can be explained away by mental health. I agree with a lot of what Penguin is saying here in terms of we can't explain away issues with mental health. That's where he's going with it, just so you know, Hannah.
Yeah. So, definitely mental health affects, and it's real, and it's the support that's given around that, and it's also what is seen as right to support you through that time. And of course, some drugs can also make you feel better for a short period of time. So, yes, some people definitely say it's a mental health issue, but it's also a support, education. It's also a guidance problem. Maybe if we had that, we wouldn't turn to alcohol if we had the right support, if we had different... Alcohol's a lot cheaper compared to having to go to a counsellor for 10 sessions.
Interesting perspective.
Some people may think like that.
And I just want to come to Muta Blind. We haven't read out many of his comments. Alcohol use is disgustingly over the top.
Yes.
I have lost, meaning dead, many friends to that shitty product. Not a single person lost to marijuana.
Yeah.
Muta Blind also says, so our progressive society addresses alcohol by lowering the drinking age. Brilliant.
Mm. And let's check on YouTube too.
Yeah, I checked YouTube. Cool. So, Penguin says there's no way I can disagree that mental health issues are at the root, but I think you're painting ridiculously broad strokes over issues that deserve more nuanced consideration. Adam Crosby says, well, so many mental health patients are prescribed drugs that they cannot financially sustain, so they turn to cheaper drugs.
Yeah.
Legalize all drugs. Cheap meth equals world peace. I think that was a bit of a troll. Cool. Muta Blind also says politicians are more interested in getting a gold-plated parliamentary pension than addressing any of these things. Another interesting perspective and not something I've actually thought about. Thank you for that, Muta Blind.
I guess you have in a certain way. In a different sense, you've thought about our politicians and our councillors. They're not including community. They're all about doing the job, and they're not including the voices that actually...
Oh, I actually have my own headphones.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, why are we sharing headphones? Adam keeps going on about it.
Yeah.
Oh, don't lie. It's because you like sitting really close.
Actually, mine aren't even working
And
anymore.
craning your neck ever so slightly to one direction so you can share them.
Yeah. Yours aren't working anymore?
Yeah, they're not, actually. I think they might have died. So we might continue to share and, whatever.
Yeah.
I really, despite what some people may think that are reading chat, I really appreciate the things that Penguin is saying. Obviously, he took some issue with some things that I was saying. He didn't necessarily disagree with me. He just felt that I from what I gather, felt that I needed to. I was painting it with too broad of a stroke,
Yep.
and that I needed to answer. I had to define it
Yep.
with less loose terms, and I agree, 100%. The problem here is I don't have the background. I don't have the knowledge. I will admit to my ignorance. I don't have all the answers. I'm not even saying that my insight or what I believe to be my insight is that insightful. I think a lot of people can come to, similar conclusions on their own.
Sure.
And again, it's only my belief that they're related to mental health issues. And mental health issues could very easily be a symptom of something else that's wrong. It's maybe our capitalism, our rampant consumerism, in the Western world that causes a problem. I couldn't say.
Wow, this stream tonight is getting incredibly deep. We've got such a wide perspective of ideas going on in the chat. It's really hard to get a grip on it all for you,
I do have... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had an interesting... I'm a font of, random pieces of knowledge. And it's something that I just came up in my head, and I wanted to share because I think it's interesting. That people with schizophrenia, which I know many people with schizophrenia, and not that are. I have friends who are schizophrenic, and I have met many more people who are schizophrenic here where I live. And schizophrenia is generally, it's like low-level psychosis, and generally it's people that hear voices. Well, in Western culture, the majority of people who have schizophrenia, the voices that they hear are either benign to malevolent, meaning either they're saying just random, the voices are saying random things, or they're saying rude things, or belittling the person, that has schizophrenia, or telling them to do bad things, those kinds of things. Whereas people that have schizophrenia in Eastern cultures, and this is a generalization, it's the opposite, that the voices they hear are benign to positive, that they actually have their schizophrenia. And the only thing I can imagine is it's some kind of cultural difference or societal difference between Western and Eastern cultures, that the voices that schizophrenics hear in Eastern cultures are more likely to be positive in nature rather than malevolent. And that's really odd to me and interesting.
Yeah.
And sorry, I didn't mean to take away from the current discussion by saying that.
No, that is really fascinating, and I imagine it's probably, I do not know if you don't know, but I wouldn't imagine that there's been any study done between those differences.
I thought you were saying there was, though.
What study, though?
Oh, okay. Was there a study, Sam?
Yeah, there have been. I'm looking for it right now, so I can share it.
Awesome.
My bad for not understanding that. That's amazing.
Mooter blind. People are spending 75 to 80% of their income on a roof over their head as a result of immigration has destroyed many low-income earners' hope for a better life in New Zealand. It's not hard to extrapolate people ending up A, on the street, B, addicted to destructive drugs such as alcohol or synthetics.
Just to add on your comment, I think you could say destructive behaviors, as well as that, because sometimes the symptom of doing that, a person may end up in destructive behaviors where they may be turning to the wrong foods, the inappropriate behaviors,
social
and addictions, and if they've got children, they may not acknowledge their child. So
here's a link to an
Stanford. Here we go.
Wow.
About the difference between schizophrenia patients and specifically, I think, the U.S. and Indo-Indonesian countries.
Wow.
Sorry, Hannah. You're just gonna disappear for
That's fine.
for a minute.
There's another one, and I admit that I don't know what Lundbeck Institute is, and I don't know how relevant they are. But here's another one that talks about how culture can shape the types of experiences that schizophrenics can have. But also, as a discussion
can you do me a solid, actually, Doxers?
Yeah.
Would you be able to drop these in the Farah Familia Discord as well? Because I want to be able to... Like, I'm not going to be able to read these properly now. I want to sit down with them later on.
Yeah, I'll stick them in general.
Yeah, because I'd really love to know is how do they I'm just trying to find the right words for a person in an Eastern country. How do they support a schizophrenic? Do they still get put on medications? Do they...
Well, in Japan, you get sent to an institution. It's like, jeez, man.
For any little thing, though, in Japan...
Oh, jeez.
You get sent to an institution. If you're not normal looking...
I'm sorry, this seems like a very bad place. This seems like a very bad place to end the stream. But guys, for right now, we might have to leave it there. It's pretty late. If you would like to carry on the conversation with us, we're more than happy to come back tomorrow. We also have a Discord, and I will be in the Discord for at least an hour after the stream has ended. There it is there. Feel free to join the Discord. We are going to wrap it up right now. Big thank you to everybody that dropped subs on the channel today. If you feel like being awesome, please do hit the follow button. It'll let you know exactly when we are on the next time. But for right now, guys, thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for being a part of the journey.
And we'll see you in the next one.